1967 was known as the Summer of Love, and in some ways we gotta say, why? There were riots in the streets of Detroit, Cleveland, and Newark. Cities were on fire. What they should have called it was the Summer of Burning Rubber. That was the year Jim Morrison was laying down patches all over LA when he wasn't crashing his GT500 in front of a police station. You had the L88 Corvette, which was basically a street legal race car with 12.5-to-1 compression. Chevrolet and Pontiac introduced their brand new pony cars, the Camaro and Firebird, both of which had large displacement engines available. The Barracuda and Mustang were also all new, much bigger and able to accommodate their division's big-inch engines. At Buick, the big news for '67 was an all-new V8 engine. Gone was the sturdy and reliable nailhead. In its place was a new engine displacing 400 cubic inches. It had better intake valves, bigger exhaust valves, better breathing entirely. The only thing it really shared with the nailhead was the 10.25-to-1 compression ratio. This car was so far ahead of its time, it got the 1-year only Star Wars air cleaner. Think about it. It had the Star Wars air cleaner 10 years before the movie came out. That's how far advanced Buick was in those days. Being a Buick, of course, this car's got all kinds of options. Air conditioning, power disc brakes, amazing stuff, but we'll get into that in a minute. Before we get going, don't forget, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell up top so you're notified every time a new video goes live. The GS was in the second year of its body design, which was all new in '66. Befitting a Buick, it was fancier than the Chevelle or GTO. It featured a similar roof design to the Chevelle. On the hood were a couple of fake air intakes. Out back, the tail was less elaborate than the '65, which had full-width taillights, but it was a clean design with individual lights at each corner. Overall, the look was muscular, if not slightly over the top. Today's feature car belongs to Buick lover Mike Polito. We featured 3 of his other Buicks previously, a '64 Riv, '69 and '70 GS models, and now we're looking at his freshly restored '67 GS400. Unlike most other Buicks, this one got a 1, 2, 3, 4-speed manual gearbox. This was huge for '67 because this was the year GM's A-body muscle cars got the optional 3-speed turbo hydromatic 400 as an option. I guess the guy who ordered this car knew how to row his own gears. Maybe it was the updated styling and the addition of the GS340 model. Perhaps it was the new mill or the availability of the Turbo 400, but the '67 GS had its best sales year to date. A total of 19,626 of all body styles were produced, including the GS340. Of this, just 2,280 GS hardtops got the 4-speed in '67. That makes Mike's Buick pretty uncommon. Who knows how many of these have survived the rigors of time and abuse. Few of them, I would venture to guess, are as nice as Mike's. Everybody knows that Muscle Car Campy is a sucker for a car with a white interior, and Mike's Buick has it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like the other early GMA bodies, it has metal on top of the doors. This one's even got metal strakes on the door panels. I mean, it's just gorgeous, and it's got tilt wheel. Costs so little, does so much. Very cool, plain kind of steering wheel, but it's elegant and stately, just like a Buick should be. You've got the sweeping speedometer, goes up to 120 miles per hour. You got the console mounted tachometer, which is goofy. Mike's car does have the 4-speed, but he put in a Hurst shifter when he restored it. Very cool. You always need it on these cars. What's really interesting on this interior is it's got 2 separate consoles, the consolette and the regular console. The first console goes up to about here, about where my hand is. The second one starts after that. So 2 separate consoles. Buick, what were you thinking? But I just love everything about this car. It's got lots of cool options. Most importantly, air conditioning. Like I said, tilt wheel. It's all very, very cool. Hey, Mike, what do you say we go for a ride? All right, Muscle Car Campy fans, we got a real treat today. Mike said, Jim, do you want to drive? And I said, did Pinocchio have a wooden butt? Heck yeah, I want to drive. But what's really cool about this, now I've driven a '65 Grand Sport. My friend had one. It was a 401 nailhead with an automatic. I've never driven a '67 with a 4-speed, so this is a great time for Muscle Car Campy. Shall we?
Let's do it, Jim.
All right.
They were made to drive.
A little stiffer clutch than I thought it might have. I like this. This is the no-field power steering. You know, Mike, you and I both grew up in cities. We could park this thing anywhere with this power steering. No joke.
That's one finger power steering there. That's great.
Well, Muscle Car Campy is in muscle car heaven right now. Oh, it's just gorgeous. Mike, you bought this car. It was almost finished. The guy that you bought it from had a ton of money into this car, and you really got it. I want to say pennies on a dollar, maybe dimes on a dollar. It just goes to show you, a lot of people think muscle cars are overpriced, but when you realize that the original owner had over 6 figures invested in this car and sold it for significantly less, sometimes you can invest a lot of money in an old car and not get your money back.
Absolutely, that was the case with this car. I just happened by it. I was actually looking to help a friend out who wanted to do a resto mod on a station wagon, and I was telling him how nice the 64 through 67 Buicks were, and they really lended themselves to that with the special roofing with the secondary glass up above, the skyline glass as I call it. And there it was on the internet, and I was like, wow, look at this car. It was an earlier, I'd say probably 5-year-old frame-off nut and bolt restoration from a fellow that had a sizable Buick collection, and he's older, and, you know, not that I'm young, but he was in his 80s, and he was thinning the herd. And so I made an absolutely ridiculous offer because the last thing I needed was another car. And you know, they kept coming back, and you know, the market was not good then, and I got it. I guess I stole it. It's a fabulous car. It needed, you know, to be some attention as it had been sitting, and it needed a good wet sanding, and the trunk had a little discoloration because these all leak and needed to take care of them. You know, little things here and there, and it's a great car. As I said, it's a complete nut and bolt with every single thing. Like my other cars, I'm a stickler for it. Everything works.
I mean, I can see the tach, we're up around 2,500 RPM at 55 miles an hour. This car has the 336 gears, the optional posit traction. You know, there's something about these old cars. There's a reason I have this channel. You know, I don't really do it for the money. I do it for the love of the automobiles. And this car is just so special. I love how the speaker in the front for the AM radio is not on top of the instrument panel. It's in the front of the instrument panel. The radio and the middle air conditioning duct. The only thing that's funny is I'm being a guy who drives a lot of new cars. I'm looking for 5th gear, and then maybe 6th, but that ain't gonna happen, is it?
No, this is completely original tranny. As you mentioned before, the shift linkage was changed. I have the original 1C linkage that came with me.
And this is an M20, not an M21. Most people don't realize, but the M20 had much better gear spacing for drag racing. The M21 was a little stronger, so this M20 really gives you better acceleration and better gear spread. And here we are just cruising around just under 60 miles an hour. I mean, this is comfortable as can be.
Yeah, it really makes a great car. I mean, you know, back then there was quite a rivalry between the Buick divisions, Chevrolet, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, and Cadillac, and Buick. And Buick really, there was a big difference in quality that you can see between Chevelle and
Oh, no
question. They were heavier.
Yeah.
I don't think they were as fast. But as we say, it was fast with class.
Yes. And, you know, I looked up a Car Life road test. Now, they always test with 2 people on board and a full tank of fuel. They went 14.7 at 97 miles an hour, which is easily 0.4 quicker than a nail-head-equipped GS. So there was definitely a huge improvement on the engine side. I I can't believe how beautiful this car drives. This is a new 1967 Buick Grand Sport. This is as close as I'm ever going to get to actually owning a new one or driving a new one. I mean, wow.
It's well sorted, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. And I'm being nice to Mike. I'm not trying to scare him. We'll keep it under 3,500 RPM today. I can tell Mike will do burnouts in his other cars. I get the feeling he hasn't done any burnouts in this one yet. This is really a fresh restoration. What's really cool is like the 4-speed, like if you're not careful, you could probably bang your hand on the consolette back here. Now, was this the consolette or the console?
That's the console, and it's commonly known, they call it the iron board console, or shorty.
So this is the console,
right.
That's the consolette in the front.
And there's a division between the two. I know it looks like it's one piece, but it's not.
No.
But then there's the consolette, and then in the consolette is the tech. Now each one of those is an individual option. You could have got none, one, no tech, whatever you wanted. You know, back then it was a different time.
Yeah, and I do notice, you know, the car does have the Redline bias ply tires on it. And the car likes to wander a little bit. That's just kind of common problem with those tires.
Exactly. Yeah,
but
they call them radials when they're biased.
Yeah, and you also have the optional Buick road wheels and the optional Redlines. The Redlines were an option for this car. So I have to say, I am truly enjoying myself. I was going to turn back into your house there, but I think I'm going to have to drive like another mile or so and then turn it around.
Hey, that's what they're made for, you know. As I said in the last video you and I did, Jim, and I'll repeat myself, they make my roots tingle.
All right, everybody, that's a wrap for today. This is Muscle Car Campy saying see you later. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell up top so you're notified every time a new video goes live. We've got lots more coming. You won't want to miss any of it.